Hey there, quality pros, and welcome. Today, we're cracking open section 11 of the ISO 10009 standard, and we're diving straight into the practical, hands-on tools you can use to drive some serious improvement. Think of this as your guide to building a killer quality toolkit.
You know, every great craftsperson has their go-to set of tools, and quality management is no different. Today, we're going to explore some absolutely indispensable instruments for diagnosing problems, sparking new solutions, and just making your processes better, stronger, and way more efficient.
And really, that's the whole idea right here. I mean, you wouldn't use a hammer to turn a screw, would you? Of course not. In the exact same way, knowing which tool to grab for which specific problem, that's the secret sauce for effective quality improvement. So this explainer, it's all about matching the challenge to the right solution. All right, first up, let's step outside our own four walls for a minute. You know, sometimes the absolute best ideas for getting better come from just understanding what everyone else is up to. This is where external analysis really shines. So the first tool we're pulling out of the kit is benchmarking. It's basically a structured way of asking, so how are we really doing compared to the best in the business? For instance, maybe your top competitor has a 98% customer satisfaction rate, and you're kind of stuck at 85%. Well, benchmarking is what helps you see that gap clearly and figure out exactly what you can do to close it.
And you can do this in a few different ways. Performance benchmarking, that's all about the hard numbers, right? Comparing your defect rates against theirs. Then there's practices benchmarking, which is more about the how. How do they run their manufacturing process so efficiently? And finally, strategic benchmarking looks at the big picture. Are they investing in some new tech that maybe you should be looking at too?
So the big takeaway here is that benchmarking can lead to some really tangible improvements, and fast. But, and this is a huge but, it has to be designed carefully. You've got to make sure you're comparing apples to apples. I mean, comparing your small startup's marketing budget to a massive multinational corporation's? That's not going to give you any useful insights, is it? Okay, so after looking outward, let's turn that focus back inside. How do we spark and organize those amazing ideas from within our own teams? Let's check out some tools for internal innovation. Brainstorming. A classic for a reason, right? We've all been there. In the quality world, it's just a fantastic way to get a whole flood of ideas on the table. For example, let's say a product is consistently failing a stress test. A good brainstorming session could uncover dozens of potential causes, everything from material flaws to tiny issues on the assembly line. Now, what's really interesting here is the discipline that goes into a successful brainstorm. To get those truly creative ideas, you need rules. And the most important one? No initial critique. None. Every single idea gets to fly, no matter how wild it sounds. A robot that sorts screws by size might sound silly at first, but hey, that could spark a genuinely brilliant practical automation idea. That's why having a good facilitator is so key, to keep the energy high and the judgment low. Okay, so your brainstorming session was a smash hit. The whiteboard is literally covered in sticky notes. It's beautiful, creative chaos. But now what? How do you take that awesome mess of ideas and turn it into something you can actually use? And that's where the affinity diagram comes in. This tool is perfect for finding order in that creative chaos. You just have the team start grouping related ideas together into natural clusters. All the ideas about supplier issues go in one corner, everything about machine calibration goes in another. It's a really simple and visual way to watch the patterns just emerge from the noise. You know, the best thing about the affinity diagram is just how simple it is. It helps you build the foundation for a real action plan. But you have to remember, it only organizes the ideas you've already got. It won't tell you if tackling supplier issues is more important than machine calibration. That prioritization step, well, that's a job for a different tool. All right, so we've covered generating and organizing ideas. Let's move on and look at tools that actually provide structure for how our teams can collaborate and solve problems together. Quality circles are such a fantastic way to empower the people who know the processes inside and out, your frontline workers. Just think about the assembly line team that deals with that one machine that keeps jamming every single day. A quality circle gives them the dedicated time and the structure to actually diagnose the problem and come up with a real solution, instead of just working around it all the time. The benefits here are huge, and not just for quality, but for morale too. It builds teamwork and gives people a genuine sense of ownership over their work. But the key thing to remember is that you can't force this stuff. Quality circles really thrive on voluntary participation.
So you have to create an environment where people want to get involved. Okay, now for one of my personal favorites, the 6 thinking hats. I'm telling you, this technique is a total game changer for meetings. It's designed to stop arguments before they even start by getting everybody to think in the same direction at the same time. Instead of debating, the entire team puts on the same metaphorical hat to look at a problem from one single perspective at a time.
So let's walk through it real quick. Everybody puts on the white hat for facts only, no opinions allowed. Then you all switch to the yellow hat to look for all the benefits and positives. Next up, the black hat to consider all the risks. Then the green hat for new, creative ideas. The red hat lets you share feelings and intuition. And finally, the blue hat kind of manages the whole process. It's just a super structured and incredibly productive way to have a discussion.
What makes this method so brilliant is how it breaks people out of their usual thinking habits. You know, the eternal optimist on your team is forced to put on the black hat and really consider the risks. And that person who's always a critic, well, now they have to wear the yellow hat and find the positives. The whole thing only works so in an environment of respect, where every single perspective is valued and written down without judgment. Now, the tools we've covered are super powerful, but honestly, they're just the tip of the iceberg. The world of quality improvement is huge, so just to give you a little taste of what else is out there, here's a quick look at a few more tools you might want to add to your collection down the road. Hey, don't worry about memorizing this whole list right now, but let's just touch on a couple. The Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle, or PDCA, that's like the fundamental engine for continuous improvement. A pick chart can help you prioritize ideas by weighing their payoff against how difficult they are to implement, and a waterfall chart is awesome for visualizing how a number changes over time. Just think of this as your Go Explore These Leader list.
So we've unboxed a lot of really powerful tools today, haven't we? From looking outside with benchmarking to structuring how we work inside with quality circles and 6 thinking hats. The biggest thing to take away isn't about memorizing every single tool. It's just knowing that you have options.
And that really brings us to the final and most important question. As you walk away from this explainer, I want you to think about a challenge you're facing at work right now. Which one of these tools we talked about feels like it might be the right fit to finally start making some progress? Because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. The most sophisticated, most advanced tool in the world is completely useless if it just stays in the toolbox. The best tool is the one you actually pick up and put to work. Thanks so much for watching, and go start improving.